Well, hello Internet, and welcome to another episode of Artoves Dev Chunks, Understanding Pyramid Programming Using Loops Part 3. We have already been through the tough roads of programming these patterns, and today we are going to go a step forward in the same road. So, we have two culprits today. We have the left and the right patterns to be programmed. So let's jump right into the first one. So this is the pattern we need to print. In order for you to see it better, let's divide it into two. So this is the spaces and you see the stars. So we'll go about in a scheduled pattern of which triangle, which pattern are we going to deal with first, then the next, then the next. So let's start with it. So first of all, as you see in order, we need to start with these spaces in the green triangle. So this will be our first inner loop. If you're not aware of how to go about with starting these patterns, I would recommend you to watch the previous videos of Artoves Dev Chunks, Understanding Pyramid Programming. So in order to brief out again, I'll just let you know these patterns are just combination of rows and columns or merely tables, and we need loops to track or control those rows and columns. So in this situation, the first green triangle that we see here is the number of spaces, and we'll use an inner loop for controlling that. As soon as this has been completed, we need to print these stars, and we need another for loop, or in that matter a loop of your preference, to print these stars. After these stars are completed, the third loop will be able to track these stars in blue triangle actually. So after these stars are printed, again we have these spaces in blue. So as soon as these four inner loops complete, we'll have our first half of the pattern printed out on the screen. Now there is one thing that you need to take care of. Since I have been telling you again and again, these are rows and columns. So in the first half, if you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So we have already included the fifth row in our table. So this row has already been included in the first section of our pattern. So we do not need to include this row in our next section of the pattern. So we just have 4 rows to count for. Next, we'll have to deal with these spaces in orange. As soon as we cover this loop, we need to go through this orange triangle, which will be printing the stars. Next we need to cover this red triangle with stars. That's it. Now some of you might be thinking, we have this spaces written out here on the left side in the pink triangle, and we need to do that too with loops. But actually, since we are targeting this red blinking triangle, the spaces after those stars will automatically be printed, or rather they will not be present in the program, so you don't need to worry about them. Again, all these sections of this pattern have already been discussed in the previous examples or the previous tutorials. I would strongly recommend you to go through them first before starting with this new pyramid or pattern for that matter. So that's all for the theory. Let's jump right into our IDE. So today I have decided to code this with Java instead of C or C++. It is just your personal preference. What I aim to do is to clear the basic concept of any general programming language. The logic remains exactly the same, it's just the syntax that differs. So you would be asking yourself, what is an IDE? Why am I using IDEs? And it's saying here, welcome to IntelliJ IDEA, what is this, and so and so. So just a brief introduction to what is it, why is it, etc, etc. Well, you must have seen I was using Sublime Text for my previous tutorials. Now this is a text editor. It has few great features, but it just actually just does the code for us, nothing else. It has syntax highlighting, it has bit of a code completion, but not that much of a features are offered, although it's a great text editor. Now what does an IDE does? Let me give some brief things that will help you understand what an IDE can do for you. Now what an IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and one of the most gorgeous features of an IDE is the code completion engine. It has excellent code completion for any type of language that you prefer. Like here, IntelliJ IDE is my personal preference for programming in Java. It has excellent code completion engine. Second of all, it has built-in tools to organize your code very easily. So you can organize your code, manage folders and files into projects and modules and all those stuff. If you don't understand any of these terms, don't worry. As you go about the course, everything will get clear to you. The third point is it has awesome integration with the development tools that are needed for programming, like the compiler and the interpreter. It has all the commands built in, and you do not need to type them on the terminal or any other thing. You just need to press few buttons out there on the editor, on the IDE, and all those stuff will be done for you automatically. Fourth and the most important one is actually what its name suggests. It's an integrated development environment. It's an all-in-one environment. You can code within the same environment, you can debug your code, you can test your code, you can even run your code, and you do not even have to switch a window or any application for that matter. Everything can be done within the same UI. The fifth and one of the most awesomest features of using an IDE is it simplifies really complex tasks to minimal simplicity. That too with using user interface controls. You do not have to type everything. You can just fill in some information or forms in a window, and it will do the manipulation for you. It will manifest the code for you most of the times. Now, few of the most popular IDEs for Java will be, you must have heard of Eclipse IDE. It is one of the most popular IDEs that is written in Java and is the best for programming in Java. The second one is the Netbeans. Netbeans IDE was created by Sun Microsystems, which was the developers of Java. The third and my preference will be IntelliJ IDE, which is a JetBrains project. Now if you're using C and C++, don't worry, the things will almost be same for you. I'll always encourage you to go about and try the logic on your own in different program languages. For C and C++, one of the chief IDEs is code blocks, and it is used more widely than any other C++ IDE for that matter. Another options are Eclipse IDE for C++. It's a multi-purpose IDE for multiple languages. You can also use Netbeans for C++. Let me show you a very brief look of where to find these things. Well, Eclipse is here at eclipse.org/downloads, and here you see this button here. This will bring you to this page. Now the latest version of Eclipse right now is Eclipse Luna 4.4. I'm using Mac OS X. You can choose any platform. Now there are few different IDEs based on the same SDK of Eclipse. This is the standard version. You have it for Java developers, you have it for C++. You can choose either the standard version and install plugins, or you can choose one of the specific IDs. You can also use it for PHP, modeling, and lots of stuff. Eclipse is great for installing plugins and working with multiple things. Then you have the next one as Netbeans. You can find it on netbeans.org/downloads. Now Netbeans is almost similar to Eclipse. It has lots of plugins available. You can see here is Java Standard Edition. You can use FX. You have all the plugins for Java EE. You can program in C++, for HTMLs from all. So these are just different versions of Netbeans that you can use. Then the third in my preference is the IntelliJ IDEA, which you can find on www.jetbrains.com/idea/download. Now there are two versions of this IDE. One is the Ultimate Edition, which is paid, and it gives you a 30 days trial. But this Community Edition is good enough for any programming that you will do on a regular basis, and it's completely free. I would definitely recommend you to go and click this download button here. Now for C++, as I mentioned, code blocks, you can find it in codeblocks.org/downloads, and here is the download the binary release. So you can even check out code blocks if you prefer. Choose your preferred IDE and just roll down into coding. Because of lack of time and the clock ticking, I would like to continue my video in the next tutorial, so stay right here. Thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe and share. Please comment if you have any queries. Thank you so much.